In Parliament today, several MPs from across party lines went on record to say something needed to be done about pollution.
For every tree that is cut down, you have to plant 100 trees. You have to plant 200 trees. That's the way forward. This pollution is actually what is costing us almost 10.6 billion a year. Can you imagine 70,000 crores is what India is losing every year on account of pollution. This is a moderate study report.
Air pollution से इंडिया में हर 3 मिनट में एक बच्चे की मौत होती है. And it's high time we stop politicizing over these grave issues. The state can no longer get away with these gimmicks like odd even shutting construction sites. I would like to highlight the biggest source of pollution in my constituency, which is Ghazipur landfill.
माननीय सांसद, उनको ये पसंद नहीं इसलिए मैं उतर रही हूँ. Are we choking? Sir, are we choking?
No.
Is Delhi choking?
1981 में एयर एक्ट बनाया गया था. उस एयर एक्ट को और मजबूत करने की जरूरत है. सरकार ने एक नेशनल क्लीन एयर प्रोग्राम की घोषणा की थी, पर सरकार ने उसके ऊपर जो आउटले इस बजट में रखा है वो सिर्फ 300 करोड़ रुपया है. एक स्टैट्यूटरी कमेटी बननी चाहिए जो सिर्फ क्लाइमेट चेंज को और इससे जुड़े मुद्दों को देखे.
Water, water everywhere, not a drop to drink. The modern version of his poem would be air, air everywhere. Polluted, our lungs will shrink.
यहाँ के जो रीजंस हैं सर, उस पे एक्शन प्लान भी आपको बनाना. मैं तो आपको कहना चाहता हूं कि एनडीए का ये 6वां साल सर शुरू हो गया. सर 6ठे साल में कोई सर प्रॉपर एक्शन प्लान तो लेके आइए.
All right, so finally we've got our political leaders speaking about pollution over several hours in our parliament. But is this going to be a one-off conversation, one-off expression of concern over something which is killing us? Or will there be a national movement? We've got Swachh Bharat. How about a movement for clean air in this country? Something that goes beyond the rhetoric. We've got a fantastic panel today. Pinaki Mishra, the lawyer and BJD MP with us. Gaurav Gogoi, the Lok Sabha MP of the Congress with us as well. Vimlendu Jha, the founder of Swachh India, the well-known environmentalist. Mamta Kale of the BJP, and we'll be joined by Saurabh Bhardwaj of the Aam Aadmi Party in a few moments from now. Mr. Mishra, I went through your entire speech, and one of the points that you actually mentioned was that it's not enough for us to blame farmers in the Punjab for stubble burning, and that there are other causes of pollution across large parts of North India. But statistically and numerically, at this time of the year, stubble burning is the major problem. Why be in denial?
No, it isn't. I'm sorry. The empirical evidence shows that stubble burning began on the 8th, 9th, 10th of October. There was absolutely no problem with the air, if you're talking about the NCR air, up to the 27th, which was Diwali. Suddenly on Diwali, and then the next day after Diwali, the entire ambience air took a very, very alarming turn for the worse. There was no restraint where there should have been restraint as per the parameters set down by the Honorable Supreme Court. And I believe that then largely contributed to the fact that there was massive air pollution over the next 2, 3, 4 days.
Okay.
There was, of course, still air. There was no wind. So therefore, stubble burning, I've always said it is a contributing factor, but it is not the kind of demonic contributing factor that we all make it out to be. See, the farmers, these small marginal farmers have no voice.
So, Mr. Mishra,
you have to understand, Vishnu, they have no voice.
No, Mr. Mishra, I completely understand. When you say that they have no voice, they have no option, options have not been found for them, the model has been developed, and perhaps there's a lack of political will. Not getting into that part of the debate, I agree 100%. But the moment you say there is no empirical data, I think that's questionable, because an article published by Nature magazine with leading authors, which we've covered on this program, Hiren Jetwa, Omar Torres, Robert Field, and 3 others. Some of them are NASA scientists, some of them are affiliated with Columbia University. It's a study between 2002 and 2016. So yes, it doesn't pertain to this year. However, I'm just going to read out 4 lines of this, because it establishes a clear statistical link between stubble burning and air pollution over Delhi and NCR. Agricultural data from India indicates a 25% increase in the post-monsoon rice crop production in Punjab during 2002 to 2016. NASA's A-train satellite sensors detect a consistent increase in the vegetation index, a net of 21%, and a post-harvest agricultural fire activity, a net of approximately 60%, leading to a nearly 43% increase in aerosol loading or pollutants in the air over the populous Indo-Gangetic plain. The ground level particulate matter, or PM 2.5, downwind over New Delhi shows a concurrent uptrend of a net 60%. This is a peer-reviewed study, sir, done by 5 or 6 well-known scientists, one of them who often comes on our program from NASA, based on satellite analysis between these years. Not this year, but between 2002 and 2016, the interpretation could well be deduced to this year as well. So my suggestion, sir,
so I can give you,
is that my suggestion, sir, is that this trend continues this year.
I can give you half a dozen contrary. I can give you half a dozen contrary, tests which say that it's not more than 5%, 10%. Even this, there is a mismatch. If it says there's a 43% particulate matter, deterioration, then how can it contribute 60%? I'm sorry.
No, the post-harvest agricultural fire activity in these years went up by approximately 60%, which led to a nearly 43% increase in aerosol loading over this period. But, I mean, you haven't seen this and we can't go back and forth on this one point. But carry on, Mr. Mishra, with what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to quibble on this. What I said on the floor of the House is it is contributing. There is no question. I'm not saying it's not contributing at all. Of course, what measure is contributing, whether it's 10, 15, 20, 25, every bit that contributes is a problem. So therefore, let's do away with the problem. What's the problem? The problem is the small and marginal farmer is doing this not because he likes to do it, because he has no other recourse. Punjab has banned sowing of paddy before a particular month, and therefore they have to do it once the monsoon set in. His wheat crop then has to be, the turnaround has to be within 10 days. So therefore he is bound to do what he is doing today. So therefore, ask him to go for a crop shift. For that crop shift, all you have to do is give him a support price for pulses, support price for maize, support price for any number of other crops, alternate crops, where he doesn't need to then get into this cycle of stubble burning.
And that's a major suggestion which has been made by others as well, Mr. Mishra, that look, cropping activity, cropping patterns need to change. There are others who have said, for example, infrastructure needs to be developed, even if there is no change in the cropping pattern, to remove the residue and to convert it into energy. There are already plants which are functional.
Give him some industries where he can use his, his crop stubble.
So, Gaurav, so let me come.
If you can cut away his crop stubble.
So, Mr. Mishra, one second. Let me go across to Gaurav. Gaurav, you've been a very vocal proponent of clean air. You were in Parliament yesterday. You tweeted out this picture showing a healthy human lung and a sick human lung. You had a mask on your face and you were sending out a clear message. And that, I think, is fantastic that you would have taken that step. But why has the Punjab government not done more to help farmers help themselves and protect us over so many years? Why has that not happened?
I think, Vishnu, you're approaching the problem from a very narrow perspective. When you look at it as a Punjab problem, as a Delhi problem, as a Haryana problem,
it's an all India problem.
Wind directions. Exactly. Wind has no political boundaries. Air pollution has no political boundaries. It does not recognize the boundaries of Punjab or Haryana or Delhi or Bihar or West Bengal. It's a national problem across multiple states. I don't think so. I think every state has its own unique set of factors contributing to air pollution. If you go to West Bengal, people in Calcutta are very much concerned about the air pollution there, and it's got nothing to do with stubble burning. We limit our approach to this problem when we think about in small issues like Punjab and Delhi and Haryana. It's a much bigger problem. You have got to look at the entire airshed that goes right from the western part of India to eastern part. But going forward, I think, at least there has been some intervention and some public statements by the Punjab Chief Minister. The Delhi Chief Minister is from a different party, but he talks about air pollution. But where is Prime Minister Modi? I've never heard him say anything about air pollution. I've not heard him talk about what his big dream is. He talks about smart city. He talks about Swachh Bharat. Air pollution fits into both smart city and Swachh Bharat. Why is the Prime Minister, and because why I'm asking for the Prime Minister, because in today's context, if the Prime Minister does not put his political weight behind it, we will be coming up with incremental solutions and not have this big step forward, which our country
I think that's
needs.
a valid point.
Needs
Mamta, as a
leadership
BJP
right now.
leader, why have we not heard the Prime Minister speak enough about this?
Vishnu, first of all, I really want to understand as to where was Aam Aadmi Party absconding for last 5 years? What did they do for last 5 years?
No, but answer Gaurav's question. It's a valid question. I don't think he's making a political point.
No, I am not making. It is not.
I think what he's trying to say is, Narendra Modi is our leader. He's India's leader. Where is India's leader when Indians are potentially dying of this?
Can I speak now?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, thank you. So, first of all, I have this question for Aam Aadmi Party also, that where were they for last 5 years? A. B. What was Congress Party doing for so many years when they had their government in Delhi as well as in centre?
I'm sure you can argue that everybody is failed.
Number three.
But
If I talk about Delhi today, Vishnu, if I talk about the pollution which we all are facing in Delhi.
Respectfully, you're not answering.
No, I am answering.
You're talking about Delhi, you're talking about everything except the question.
It is the centre government. Let me answer.
We look at the Prime Minister for leadership on something which is killing us. Don't you accept that we want to hear what Mr. Modi has to say much more on this issue? It's a simple question.
By the way, who gave 100 crore to Delhi to curb the pollution? It was centre government. It was the Modi ji who actually allotted that money to fight this pollution problem, out of which all these sprinklers and all the compost machines and road cleaners, vacuum cleaners, everything was being bought. Who did that? Also, that the garbage mountain which we have, which exists in Delhi, who finally thought about it? Who has given the money to counter that problem? It is again our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Modi ji, who's again allotted and given 125 crore rupees.
Doing things on the ground, he doesn't need to be speaking about it.
No, but what is more important? Speaking of the actions, number one. And one more thing I want to ask: what is the Aam Aadmi Party doing with this 9,000 crore rupees? I mean, why are they sitting on it?
We'll
why
have an Aam Aadmi
people
Party
are not asking the
representative joining
questions
us in
about
a few
it?
moments.
And why shouldn't we be asking the questions to the Congress representative also?
No, you can ask, absolutely.
I mean,
and
what did they do?
Everybody has
this
to
problem
answer.
has not come up today, Vishnu.
Okay, 1 second, Mamta.
This problem has
you
not
made your
come
point.
up today.
You've
It has
answered.
been for years together. What did they do about it?
So
it's very easy to talk about PM Modi and say PM Modi did not do, PM did not speak. He has done. The action speaks louder than words.
Okay.
But what did you do?
All right, one moment. Now, Vimlendu, let's try and pick through some of the arguments made by Mr. Mishra and Gaurav Gogoi. Gaurav, both of them correctly mentioned that this is not a Punjab issue, it's not a Delhi issue, it's an India issue.
Absolutely.
However, neither of them want to talk about the bull in the China shop, which is stubble burning at this time of the year. Am I wrong when I say that this contributes the most based on these reports?
Vishnu, the thing is that in many ways what Gaurav or Mr. Mishra, they were talking about stubble burning, they're right and you're right too. The thing is that of course in these 45 days or in this 30-day window period, stubble burning contributes a lot, almost 40 to 50%. Some studies actually say, including yours, that the actual contribution during the month of October, November, the most is because of stubble burning. But, we'll lose the entire argument if we actually focus only on stubble burning.
I agree.
The larger debate, if you look at the trend that we're talking about as a country of air pollution and the air pollution crisis the country is facing, it's not only because of stubble burning. Because you actually, 20 days from now, you will actually have an air crisis, you'll actually have a 500 AQI, and that time there won't be a stubble burning. Because every other study, including yours, actually say that there is 60%, 70%, 80%, 90% other contributors, which could be vehicular pollution, which is also construction, demolition, dust, which the green, the cover that is actually been missing. We talk about burning of garbage. And in all of this, I think, what was very unfortunate today was that imagine out of 543 members of parliament, we only had 100 members of parliament today. Half of them were actually joking around an issue which is actually killing thousands and thousands of people. You know, the Prime Minister was completely missing. I'm very sorry, Mamta. You know, this is not a joke. This is not an oratory competition that is going on. We're talking about thousands and thousands of people who are actually dying. We're not even discussing GDP numbers. We're talking about death toll of small children in our country of 1.2 million, which needs further action, concrete action, swift action. Tell me one thing, our political class, and that also applies to Congress and also to Aam Aadmi Party and also to everyone else, that imagine if the fact that people like us and many other citizens have actually hit the streets, and there is a discussion at least, there's a political discussion on air pollution, but if there's no political action on air pollution,
so let me ask,
no, but saying, who's saying that there is no political action? Let me remind you, 55,000 crore again were given by the centre government, so that the 60,000 trucks can go from the outer Delhi, you know, and it has really saved us. So what do you want to do? The centre government, you just want the PM to come and make some comments and not do any action. So I have given you the facts. I am talking based on facts.
Mamta, listen, we are dying over here of air pollution. We are trying to bring our leaders over here to give us an explanation.
Pollution is a state subject.
Mamta, we have to go beyond this. We have to go beyond
stubble burning also,
so you won't keep
the government
quiet,
has given 1140 crore.
We've got two leaders.
No, it is not that. These are the facts.
Right.
Please.
So you're going to keep on talking and you won't let anybody agent.
No, but I have to tell him the truth.
You've made your point. And so will you respect me when I'm requesting you to let our two leaders, we've got Saurabh here as well. If we get into this tu-tu-meh-meh, we will have this for Kingdom Come, it will never change. Mr. Mishra, let me ask you this. When Vimlendu says that it's a disappointment that so many MPs didn't land up in Parliament today, did you not find yourself in a minority when you spoke passionately on this issue and so many chose to give it a miss?
Are you asking me?
Yes, sir.
Vishnu? You know, Vishnu, there was a much larger number present today than in many other debates, honestly. I think, you know, the camera will never really show you how many members were present, but I think almost half the House was there, and that's a very good number. Everybody was there listening with a fair degree of attention. I have to say, the Honourable Speaker has taken this and we have to thank him for this. You know, we've been trying to get this debate in Parliament for the last 7-8 years. And the Honourable Speaker, in the very first week of the winter session, understood the gravity of this problem and said straight away, I'm sorry, no government business, I'm going to address this first. Come on, let's talk about, you know, what are the solutions on the table. Yep. So we owe it to him. There was, yes, I mean, a full house is always, obviously, you know, more welcome. But I think the debate was good. I think a lot of suggestions came out. These are people on the ground. I appreciate Mr. Jha's point that, you know, a full house would have been better. The Prime Minister, but you know, the Prime Minister always sits in his room and he's always tuned in. I met him in the morning. He's tuned in. Both the TVs are on for Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. He's listening to every word.
Right. That's
that much I can tell you. He's not missing anything. He's watching everything.
That's important.
He doesn't have to be, you know, sitting on the floor of the House. He's watching there. There's no question about it.
So Gaurav, you know,
this debate is, by the way, spilling over. This debate is spilling over. It's not finished today. So that's the importance the House has given this debate. That's important. The Minister will reply only day after. Minister will reply day after.
That is super.
Everybody will get their say. Everybody will get their say.
That is super.
So let's see. It's a good start.
So Vishnu, can I come in?
Yeah. Gaurav, just a moment.
Gaurav, 1 second.
From the Aam Aadmi Party, unfortunately, to put their point of view.
Yeah, they are here. Saurabh is here. I'll come to him. I'll come to Saurabh in a moment from now.
So they got
attacked. But Gaurav, as you make your,
they had nobody to defend.
Gaurav, as you come in, I just wanted to tell you that I was listening very carefully to Manish Tiwari today. We all were, and he spoke about China and the improvement over there. Beijing had a cut of 40% in its PM 2.5 level in a period of 5 years. Seoul had 35% in 5 years. Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia had a 64% cut in its PM 2.5 level in 6 years. I think this is an important point about how it has been done elsewhere and how we failed to do it. Do you believe that it's this comparison with China which can actually propel us to try and improve on where we are?
Vishnu, I completely agree with you. I don't think it's rocket science to bring down, air pollution significantly over the next 2-3 years. And that is why I'm very keen about this debate that is taking place in Parliament. I'm quite happy that it's, taking over 2 days. But I hope at the end of the Parliament, when the government does stand up to reply, it does not just indulge in tutu meme. It does not be on the back foot and defensive and talk about the measures which they have done. If the measures which they have done have been really successful, we would have replicated the results of China and South Korea, as you have rightly mentioned. So my only ask of the government is that we are having a debate in Parliament, and our role as legislators is to talk about law. So when you stand up and reply, come up with a new tough law on air pollution. Currently, our pollution control boards, whether at the central level or at the state level, have absolutely no power of enforcement or monitoring or data gathering or even enforcing penalty on polluters. All of the work is being done by Supreme Court rulings or NGT rulings. Our law right now is toothless, weak and vulnerable. So I have introduced a private member's bill looking at amending our current 1981 Air Act. And just to give an example, the Air Act in the US was developed in the 70s, but is still recognized as one of the most strongest pro-environment legislation. So I hope that when we have a Parliament, when we have the government reply, they come up with the idea of a new Air Act. They're welcome to look at my act. They can get the inputs of civil society and the experience of all our pollution control boards, the chairmen and member secretaries, and we have a way forward. Something that we can say that after these 2 days of debate in Parliament, the people of India have seen the government of India take a big step forward.
And Gaurav, we'll track that very, very closely. And thank you for the passion that you bring to this topic. This is not a BJP versus Congress versus Aam Aadmi Party issue. At the end of the day, this is about all of our health. Saurabh, you've joined us a little bit late. The point which was mentioned by some was that it's not just crop burning that we need to focus on. There are other issues. Now, if you look at Delhi, politically it makes sense for you to argue that, look, it's all coming from the Punjab or Haryana. Statistically, some would say that's correct. Some would say there are other studies. But do you not accept the fact that you've not done enough to get rid of air pollution in Delhi yourselves?
Vishnu, first of all, I agree that there is a lot of, lot of unhappiness about the behavior of political fraternity in general with regards to the pollution issue. And I agree, that it is very natural, because in our politics, pollution and environment has never been an issue on which somebody voted or did not vote for a particular political party in any of the elections, whether it's a state government election or a parliamentary election. And it is good that, now people are debating it and it is becoming a political issue. It is important that it should become a political issue. And I'm happy that it is being discussed in the parliament.
You really believe it's becoming a political issue?
Yes, it is becoming. But, I believe that, when it is being discussed in the Parliament of India, we should think about alternatives and way ahead, because it is all the, MPs elected from different states who are sitting there and doing it. By making one small city-state government a villain for all the pollution which is happening across the North India. It's in Noida, it's in Gurgaon, it's in Faridabad, it's in Ghaziabad, it's in Varanasi, it's in Lucknow, it's in Patna, across, So if we keep finding Arvind Kejriwal as a scapegoat, we can do it, we can do it for a few more years, but it will not solve a problem. I think it needs collective effort. Yes, you can blame us for pollution in Delhi and I am ready to take that blame, but you should not do anything in absolute. Everything in the world is relative. You compare us with our efforts done by somebody in Noida or done by somebody in Gurgaon. We are the only state in India who have banned thermal power plants. We don't have a thermal plant here. You have it in UP, you have it in Haryana. We are the people, who have stopped using furnace oils in industry. Now all the industry has shifted to PNG and CNG. We are the place, 3 years, 5 years back, you would see DG sets across all the markets of Delhi. You don't see those diesel generator sets in Delhi, but you see them in Gurgaon, for 8 hours every day. All the colonies in Gurgaon are run on diesel generator sets. So, there are strong lobbies which are working in favor of thermal power plants because you have a coal lobby. Coal lobby will never let central government, close thermal power plants.
Lancet study,
there is a diesel lobby.
The fatality rate associated with coal plants in India are still horrific.
Horrific. And diesel. Even Supreme Court tried to put something a stop on diesel vehicles, but I think the diesel lobby is too strong that we are not able to take big steps. And
but tell me one thing,
obviously, Delhi
will you
has its
also
own
accept
problems.
the fact that a lot of the steps that you have taken are half-hearted steps? You did odd even, you've stopped odd even, because let's face it, it's not had the impact, the extent of the impact one would have hoped. A lot of us championed odd even in the past, and a lot of us now have to accept that it works to a small extent. But you don't have the political will to stop two-wheelers. You never did, and even now you don't. Or three-wheelers.
Vishnu, so government has a government has a dual.
If you don't help us, then how do we help ourselves?
Government has a.
You don't have enough buses.
Yes,
we've heard that 5 years back, 4 years back.
That is something I'll accept, that yes, we could not get enough bus, and there were technical reasons for that. The CNG buses are provided by just 2 vendors. For last 5 years, we have been tendering for CNG buses. Only one of the vendor will appear in the tender, and even the High Court tried to do it. Then we thought that let's shift to electrical buses, and now we are getting 1,000 electrical buses. We are getting buses in. But for buses, I will accept the blame because of certain technical problems of Delhi. We could not get enough.
We could not get buses in our country for our national capital region. What does that sound like?
No, this
it's an honest confession, but I think it just reflects on how our system is.
And it's not that we don't have money. We have been putting out a tender, and in the tender only one company comes.
In response to him.
Yeah, I just simply wanted to ask Saurabh ji that what were they doing for last 5 years? I mean, don't tell me that it was such a difficult task to buy buses, because they had promised this in last election. It was there in their manifesto, and they did not do it. They did not fulfill that promise of theirs. If you say that Supreme Court had said to force odd even in the city, I mean, how do you do this? Again, as you rightly said, it was half-heartedly. You just say that 4-wheelers will go out of road, but 2-wheeler, 3-wheeler, you did not do anything. I mean, what is it? How can you do? But yes, again, you cannot reinforce this odd even scheme 100% because you don't have public transport, and you did not put in even 0.1% effort to actually buy public transport. Secondly, I want to ask that what have you done with that 9,000 crore rupees which you have to counter pollution? What have you done with that? You have such a huge fund,
what I started with.
And Delhi has to
take
fund from the center.
I'm telling you a very basic thing. You cannot have absolute kind of a agenda. You have to have a comparative study. I am ready to compare my Delhi with neighboring Noida or neighboring Gurgaon and compare the steps taken by my government versus BJP government. Let's put it on table. Let's compare it. But we are the ones who have taken some efforts, who have taken some steps,
Okay.
But they are not enough.
Okay, I want
to
wrap up.
It is a state subject.
I want to wrap up this part of the debate, because we are going to be looking at pollution for the remainder of this program as well. We'll be shifting our attention to water pollution. But as I wrap up this focus on political will and air pollution, I want to read out one fact. It's a Press Trust of India article which quotes the latest Lancet study which has just come out. More than 5 lakh people died prematurely in India in 2016 due to the dangerous levels of outdoor air pollution. Over 97,000 of them died after being exposed to pollutants from coal burning. This is what the latest Lancet report, the Lancet Countdown 2019 report, has to say. That's a reality check. These are peer-reviewed documents. The data is now absolutely clear. Finally, our political leaders are talking about it. Let's hope that this makes some sort of change.